So, Rich, another thing that you and I've been talking about is maybe the concept of less is more, and things getting worse when you put more into them and better when you take things away or when they're simple. What stories or examples do you have of that concept?
I had a tool that I absolutely loved using, and then I absolutely ran away from it when more and more got added to it. Back in 2020, when I was already working from home, but everyone else started working from home and going to school from home, and it was a noisier environment suddenly in my neighborhood and in my house. I needed a way to cut the noise, and I found Crisp. Have you ever heard of that tool?
I have.
Okay. So, and for anyone who hasn't, Crisp.ai was a tool that was originally created to apply AI trained algorithms to do noise reduction. And it was great. I remember being in a professional Scrum Master class, talking with people, and these are open back headphones. So I can hear everything going on around me. And 2 houses down, jackhammer going away. And it eventually got to me, and I just told the people on the class, I said, I'm sorry that, for all the noise. They go, what noise? I'm like, oh, right. I'm running Crisp. You can't hear that. This is great. And I turned it off for a minute. They go, wow, that's really annoying. And I'm like, yeah, but at least you don't have to deal with that. Only I do. And it was wonderful. And that's what it did. It helped hone in on your voice, sometimes too much so. Like if I had to turn it off when family would come and join for a Zoom call, game call or something like that. And it was great at it. And then they added automatic recordings and automatic transcription and automatically publishing that to the cloud. And I don't ever remember turning that setting on until one day I suddenly saw I had over 1,000 recordings processed in the cloud of me and other people talking that I never wanted there. And there was no way to turn it off. Resources started ticking up. It started consuming more of my machine's capability, and it just drove me nuts. And I'm like, how do I just get the version of the tool that does, this thing? Like, well, you turn these parts off, but, not everything. I'm like, that's driving me nuts. And then eventually they decided to raise the cost to, account for all the added value that they were providing to me. And that was the definite, nail in the coffin. I'm done. I'm sorry. You've added negative value to me by adding all these things that maybe other people want, but really was way outside your offering. It was just adjacent, and you could have packaged that differently. You could have sold it differently, but you just lost the customer. And I advocated to so many people for that tool until they started doing that. And then I was just like, yeah, there are other ways to do that. You don't need that anymore.
You just said something, and I don't want to let it go by, because I bet some listeners out there are wondering, what is negative value?
Negative value?
We talk
like removing
here about quantifying value and what is value and business value, this, that, and the other. So what is your definition of negative value?
My definition of negative value is the presence of something that actually makes me want to use something less, want to pay less for it, or advocate almost actively against it, right? Like to say my time, and when I think of value, I think of exchanges of value. So something's valuable to me if I'm going to invest in it with my time or my money, or my promotion to other people, my social standing, right, has value that I invest into something else. And I need to get something out of it that feels like it's worth that. And when there's a detractor from that, it starts to add negative value. I mean, so for me in the case, it was all these features that I just didn't want and just couldn't get rid of. They were overly annoying. Copilot. I'm sure it's a great tool. When Microsoft started forcing that into Windows on that little bubble and it was just everywhere, I'm like, I don't want this. I use other AI tools and I don't need yours just added in here. You're detracting from my experience. That's negative value. The other most simple one, just to close it off here, is a bug. A bug is negative value, right? It's like we didn't want to put it in there, but we did, and it's there, and it detracts from somebody's willingness to continue to use our service, to promote it in any kind of way, and that creates negative value.
Yeah, I fully subscribe to that definition. In the last couple of weeks, I've been helping 2 different organizations measure business value and being able to look at return on investment of people and time. And I've made this the same point you're making. I've made it many, many times. And I get challenged almost every time when I say bugs have no value. They're like, but yeah, we have to do them. We have to get them. They're on our backlog, or they're on our plan. We have to do them. Like, I'm not saying you don't have to do them. I'm saying you get no credit for fixing them. Customers aren't going to call you and thank you for fixing something broken, whether they knew it was broken or not. That they might be appreciative, but you're not changing the value proposition of your product. And you use the word that I was thinking, which was detractor. And I think many different models out there of product management and portfolio management have this concept of parity. Like if you're going to open a coffee shop, you got to have lattes, got to have cappuccinos, got to have a cold brew, got to have good hot coffee. That's just parity. Having a shaken espresso, a cold foam this, or a macchiato, that could be an exciter. That could be something that pulls people to you, gives you market share. But if you do something poorly, whether it's one of those things, or you add something to your business or to your product line, it could become negative value. And I think one of the traps that a lot of people fall into is that they have a good idea. It's lean and mean, and it's not perfect, and it's got some bugs, but they're moving quickly, and they're building a lot of interest, building a lot of value. And then inevitably they get better at things. So they get better at their way of working, and they're able to produce more things. And that leads them to, well, we've solved this. We've gotten really good. All of our CI/CD pipelines are up and running. Our automated testing is going great. We've got smart people here. We've got customers who want more and more and more things. Let's crank more out. And then there's always that point where there's that gut feeling of, oh crap, we've done too much. And taking things away from people is very difficult. If you ever want to do a really interesting experiment, I'm an iPhone user. I've been an iPhone user since the earliest days. But go back and look in the App Store and figure out what apps did you used to use. And there's a way to go in and look at like installed, but not on this device. And I can go back and see the very first 5 or 10 apps I put on, and then ask yourself, why don't you use that thing anymore? And the majority of them are going to be like, I just need it for a certain reason, or I finished the game, or I did the thing. But there's going to be some of that, I can guarantee it, where you're like, oh yeah, that thing was great. It just got really crappy. It got really buggy, or it became too complex, or they jacked the price up too much and the ROI changed, or whatever, or something better came out. Those are the things to really step back and if you do the type of things we do, and to say, maybe I should give that another try, or to think about what mistake do I think they made, and am I making that mistake in any aspect of what I'm doing?
Specifically related to apps, reminded me of an app, game that I play often. It's I like deck builder games. I think they're fun. And there's a fun one to me called Doncaster that I've been playing. And they recently released a new expansion. There's actually some really cool things in it. Yet there's also parts of it that are utterly annoying to me. Like just some mechanics that I'm like, I don't want that mechanic in this game. I think it shifts the balance of something else I was trying to do, and that's annoying. I can turn it off. I thought that the maker of this, the way they thought about bringing in both free and paid content, was smart to actually put that choice in the user's hand, right? To say, yeah, here's something even that you got for free. I added more stuff to this. Isn't it more value? That's great. And I'm like, well, maybe. And I got to experiment with it, and I still use some of this new content, but occasionally I turn it off, right? Because I'm like, it's just not the feel that I wanted out of this thing, and I'll get rid of it. And that way, if I didn't have that option, I'd play the game less. And so I'm really appreciative, to be able to have choice, right, and get in there.
Yeah. I think that's interesting. I had a student in a class a few years ago that I'll never forget, and she worked for a really large airline. And we were doing a PSPO advanced class where we're talking about like some of the advanced concepts in product ownership and value creation and evidence-based metrics and those type of things. And she asked for some of my time on a break, just one-on-one. And she was very complimentary. She's like, I'm loving all this. This class is great. You're great, et cetera. She goes, but there's this big thing I can't figure out. What am I supposed to be doing with my product? What do you think I should do next? And I said, well, tell me about your product. And her team built a product inside of a large airline company. And it all sounded great to me. And I said, what's the problem? Like, I'm failing to see what you're struggling with. She goes, but what do I do next? And so I asked, what do people think of it? Oh, they love it. Okay, what are your stakeholders here? Oh, they're extremely complimentary. Yeah, there's some bugs. There's a few little annoyances that we have on our list to fix, but largely it just works. And I go, oh, that phrase, it just works, is the highest compliment you can almost get as a product person. It just works. And it hit me. I said, oh, let me guess. You think you've got to keep jamming stuff into your product. She goes, well, yeah, like that's what this has all been about. I'm like, you're in utopia. You're in a spot where almost no one else in this class likely is and can get in the next, year. Your product's done. It just now needs to maybe just stay the way it is, be kept up with the times, be improved incrementally. But I don't want to sit here and help you jam 10 new features in your product. Go out, do some investigation, talk to people. What would you like us to try and do? Or maybe it's just time for you to keep that thing going and go do something else equally good at high quality. Because you and the team clearly have put in the time to get good at working together and talking to your customers and your stakeholders and producing something that is valued.
I like that you just said that about maybe you just need to go do something else. Maybe you need to keep people around to maintain this item, to improve it, to find the little things that it just works, but we don't use that. So pull it away. Make it slightly harder to get to.
Right.
Right? Because to the point where no one notices it anymore, so that when you do take it away, they're not going to be angry. And really hone in on the right thing. But I think of that work on something new. Do you know how many brands Target has?
I'm going to just guess 15.
It looks close. I'm scrolling through. I really should have counted before I asked you that question, but it doesn't. I mean, I'm gonna here. We're gonna do a screen share here, and we're gonna take a quick look, and people can count on their own as they go through here. So here's a list of all these Target brands, and maybe you knew these were their brands, maybe you didn't, right? But here's all these different lifestyle kinds of things. Here's stuff for, some food and containers and hide and eek, a little boutique thing here. I don't know what original use is. I haven't seen that yet. I've seen Pillow Fort. I've seen Threshold, right? Like they've got all these different brands. Oh, hold on. We're not done. Now we're getting to wines.
Now you could drink and eat stuff.
Yeah. Right. So tons and tons of brands available here. The cool thing about this is this allows Target to experiment, right? And if you shop at Costco, do you shop at Costco, Jim?
Occasionally. There's not one very close to me, but I do love the store. I wish I had one a little closer.
How many brands does Costco have, Jim?
Well, I know their big one is Kirkland, but I'm gonna guess you're gonna tell me it's either one or a few.
To the best of my knowledge, it's one.
Yeah.
It's Kirkland, right? And so you see Kirkland, it's Costco. And so whatever it is, it better make you think of Costco, and it better be good enough, right? And sometimes I just bought Kirkland batteries today. They're great. And I know that Costco partners with other companies, like the Kirkland Lager It's actually made by Deschutes, and it's on the label that it's Deschutes there too, which I think is really clever that they're doing that. But all these brands, like, they're not Target listed as the brand. They're all these, other names. And so you might be like, oh, well, I really like Up and Up, storage containers or anything, but Threshold, that's just stuff is too fancy. Why would anyone buy that? They're both Target. They're getting paid either way, but it lets them play. Like, the Up and Up doesn't have to become fancy, because
Right.
Threshold can cover that. Right.
I
And so if you're doing that, yeah, go ahead.
Right. I just saw a video from, I think he's the CEO of Costco, talking about that every new Kirkland product crosses his desk. And the interviewer asked him, have you rejected one? And he told his story. Yeah, just last week, I rejected this. I sent it back and said, it's not good enough. It needs to be better. I appreciate that. I was just talking to someone else this week. There's a few very common products. We happen to be talking about soda, and I don't drink soda anymore because I can't. I miss it. But the store brands, in some cases, are actually better than the name brands. And I think that concept is probably not new to any of us, but I just thought it was interesting you selected Target or Costco as an example of this.
And how cool, though, that the CEO is honing in on, like, this has to stand for us, right? Whereas Target, they want these brands to succeed, I'm sure, right? They're putting energy and effort into it. And they have more resources than maybe many of us have at our disposal to spin up a brand. But spinning up a brand doesn't have to be very hard. And by doing something like that, if suddenly this brand falls out of favor, they can let it die. Or more, actually, they'll purposefully remove it. And some people will be sad, but most of the people who just weren't using it anyway won't care anymore. Or if it's a flop, it's like, oh, well, yeah, that was a flop. If you didn't know it was a Target brand, your perception of Target as a whole hasn't changed. If a Kirkland product doesn't meet muster, that reflects directly back on Target or on Costco right away. And you might not think as well of other Kirkland products. So, yeah, I think, all these people who want to add something, to add value, probably need to think about creating something different, right? Adjacent on the side. Oh, we also work with this other company. It's our company too, but hey, whatever. And we've got something new for you over here. And maybe you can bundle it. Maybe you can do whatever. But that constant need just to add something to add value, you might be detracting from it. You might actually be messing it up in some kind of way. And the good thing to do is get that this just works. We just keep making it work well and better every single time. We're going to go experiment on something else over here.
Right. And I think what a lot of truly wealthy people and organizations do is they seek to diversify their portfolio in a complementary way that doesn't create cannibalization of where they make their money. And I'm not an expert in that. I understand the concepts, but I'm for it. Like, if you're good at something, it makes sense for you to go do other things and apply the skills and the investments you made in getting good at one thing. As long as they do apply. But every big company knows that if they're going to release something, it has the potential to harm the brand, harm the reputation, harm sales and other things. For a small business, that could be catastrophic. And I'm curious, do you have an example, because I do, and I can tell it if you don't, of a time where you liked a company and you liked something you bought from them, and then they did something and it actually made you stop using that service or that company because something new they did had negative value in it?
There's a company whose products I still use and still absolutely love and will still absolutely recommend. But they've made some new products recently that I know they're probably not for me, but I was just like, why did we go in this direction? Like, what, or not, I say we as if I'm part of them. Peak Design. Love them. They make amazing bags. And they created some new products recently, that go in a couple of different directions. And that's what started to get on, right? their bags, all their stuff for a long time have been made for photography professionals, right? They have an amazing tripod. They have really cool bags that all interlock so that all your gear is really easily accessible, totally padded, etc. I'm not a huge photography person, but their backpacks and bags are great in other ways because they're so versatile and they're just really high quality. And then they recently did like an outdoor bag, like a hiking backpack, and trying to reinvent the hiking backpack. And it's sung great praises. I look at it and I'm like, I don't know why I would ever use that. It's someone who used to hike a lot. And I'm like, I just don't see this. And I don't know if that's the kind of bag I'd want. And then they went into to a new roller bag, right? Like a $500, carry on board with you bag that's half hard shell, half soft shell. And it's got some really clever things on it too, but I'm like, I trust your stuff and your brand, but I'm just not sure this is right. Like, I don't know. Again, it's getting praises. Maybe it's just me and I'm missing it, but what does that have to do with photography? Right. And then I go to their last thing is, they've got a new passport wallet using the materials that they've had to create a passport wallet. I've never saw the need for a passport wallet. And I especially don't want to spend, I don't know, they can all go for $50 to $100 for somebody to stuff your passport and a couple extra bills in. I'm like, okay. And sure, the people that they travel. So like clearly travel is their new theme. Are they losing their focus on photography and all the people that helped them get here? Do they care? I don't really know, but it at least got me to pause. Like I've got plenty of their gear and I'll still sing its praises, but it got me to pause of like, what is this about? Why would I want that? What about you? What's your story?
Well, it's simpler, I think, is there's a small tool company out of the West Coast that I like, and I bought a number of their things, and they released a new product. And the product itself is fine, but there was a bunch of mistakes in ordering, fulfillment, shipping, and all this. And kind of what added insult to injury was while I was still dealing with all that and going back and forth for weeks, or actually months, just to get what I've already paid for, well, then they start hitting me up for the new product and then the Black Friday stuff and then the Cyber Monday stuff. And I finally just noped out and was like, I'm done. Like, I'm going to keep what I've got. It did get fulfilled, but they've lost me as a loyal customer. Now, I'm not just giving them the boot because of a knee-jerk reaction to one experience. Like I worked on this for months, and at any point in the way, they could have, regained my loyalty, I guess. And I was actually speaking with Josh and Jeff this morning, and we were kind of just telling a couple stories, and Jeff told one, and I told one about there's a bookstore, and I was trying to buy in one of my new employees a gift card. And one of the things I do for anybody who starts working with me is to get them started with some of the basics that they need, including a gift card to this very large bookseller in my region so that they can go in and that they don't have to worry about buying a book that they may need to do their new job. And when I went to the website to buy it, it even warned me, like, we have problems fulfilling e-gift cards. You should just come in. Well, coming in is an hour and 15-minute drive one way for me because of where I live. So I tried to buy it. Got declined. My credit card didn't get declined. Something happened with the order. Oh, yeah, this is a problem. You need to do this. You need to do this and try this. So I tried that. Second thing, nope. So now they've got my money twice. Hold on my account. I was able to get a refund, but that money's gone for at least a few days. Again, I still was okay with them. It sucks. I'm not stoked, but they didn't lose me. They lost me in my future business for stuff like this when they sent an email that basically said, we know we suck at this. You just need to come in and we'd be happy to help you. And I said, if you know you suck at it, your customer support people are telling me you suck at it. Your website's warning us you suck at it. It's 2025. You should solve this. This is just buying a gift card. This is not rocket science. And it's one of my favorite quotes, Captain Jack Sparrow. The problem is not the problem. The problem is your attitude about the problem. So I wrote back a respectful but pointed reply, which just says, I do this for a living. If you would like me to help you with the flow of your e-gift cards and your online checkout order, I'm happy to help. I'd even do it just for the experience. I wouldn't even charge you. Oh, that's a great idea. I'll take that right over to product management. Are you going to be able to come in and buy this? Nope. I bought my new employee an Amazon gift card, and I said, "Look, I can't guarantee you're not going to blow this on toys like Lego or toothpaste or whatever. I'd like you to buy books with it for the future or an Audible subscription or something, but more power to you. Here you go." And it just worked. It just works. That is the highest praise that especially a service and also a product company, I think, can get.
Perhaps the way you add value is not in adding things to your product, but in understanding the ecosystem around your product. Right? If you've got a great product, this awesome bookstore, you've got a great product in some other kind of way. If people can't get a hold of you, if they've got an issue and you're like, oh, our lead time on customer requests is 27 days. I'm going to find another solution, right? To the problem, because I don't want to tolerate something like that. And that's maybe the place to go find value for a lot of for a lot of people, a lot of businesses, is not just adding more, but understanding what are all of the different ways that people engage with your product and your brand, and then exploiting those towards more value and more, for you and for your customers.
Well, and two numbers that people out there in the sales and marketing world know is customer acquisition cost and customer retention cost. And I think that this is the problem every product company or services company in the world has, which is everything you do has the potential to further create a relationship and an ecosystem with your customers or to fracture it. And that's why there's so many companies who get known for their customer service, because they know that any single interaction is not anywhere near the value of loyalty, customer loyalty. And I get that you can't always do it, and people game those systems and they take advantage of it when they know, it's humility to say, we're not good at this. It's negative value creation when you say you're not good at it, haven't been good at it for a really long time, and then gaslight your customers and kind of give excuses. Like, that's not rocket science.
It would have been so much better for this company if they just never put the option on the site.
Right.
Like, you want
exactly not doing something.
You want a gift card? Call us. We'll mail you one.
Right.
I bought a gift card for my mother one day on her birthday to the restaurant she was going to that evening. And she didn't know it, right? But it was just, I wanted to think of something fun and unexpected that I could do for her birthday. And so I was just chatting her up. Oh, what's going on? What are you getting into? And everything. And I'm going to this restaurant. She's, oh, I like it. Been there a few times. Cool. Okay. And I wrote the name down. We hung up and she's like, well, we got to start going over there. I've got 15, 20 minutes, right? I don't know how long it takes together, but it's not long. And I just called the restaurant. Hi, you have a reservation for so-and-so, blah, blah. Yeah. I would love to buy a gift card for their dinner tonight. And so to put towards this thing, can you do that for me? And they're like, well, we can't prepay for meals. I'm like, I don't want you to prepay for me. Do you do gift cards? Yes. Can I buy a gift card over the phone? Yes. Can you just give that gift card to this person? As after they're seated. Yeah, cool. That's all I need.
Yeah.
Right. And she called me back. She's like, this was so cool. Thank you so much. We had no idea. Like, they just said, oh yeah, you've got this gift card, so your bill's going to be a little less. And I'm like, so we got an extra dessert.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I love stories like that. Those are great.
Hi everyone. I'm Rich Visotsky. Join Jim Sammons and I for our 12 days of holiday themed conversations. Subscribe now and tune back in for tomorrow's episode.